The first thing we'll cover about specialized databases is not, it's not important to know exactly what databases cover what, but instead it's important to know that other databases other than Westlaw and Lexis exist. When you begin research in a new area of law, check whether there's a specialized database that you should be using. So how do you check that there's a specialized database? You can look for a research guide for your area of law. Zimmerman's guides cover a variety of legal research subjects, and those are a really good place to always just check when you're entering a new area of law. The next is you can use a search engine to check for research guides. You can look on the .edu domain, but for some areas you'll be maybe getting more guidance from NGOs and trade groups. For example, if you were looking for an international contract issue and you want to look at free trade agreements. For the most part, so limiting to .edu means that you'll zone out things that are just trying to advertise and sell legal services to people. And so you'll get high quality guides written by mostly academic law librarians. Uh, the next way to look is to ask around. So ask people when you start a new job, what other databases do I have? What do I need? Remember, those might not be paid databases. They might be internal. So if you're working for a government agency, you may have access to some internal databases. For example, if you're in an agency that runs any type of a quasi-court system, you'll probably have access to the docket for that, and you probably have more access than the public, in fact, to be able to view documents in it. If you're working for a firm, you're probably going to have access to a form bank, so a bank of all the old filings. So find out what specialty databases you have with your job, and then also ask people who work in your same area of law what they use, and they may use a government website or some other source. Then revisit this after you've practiced in the area for a while. So after you practice in an area of law, you'll be much more familiar with what's the name of the court system. If you're doing federal audit research, you'll know exactly what courts those audits go through or what government bodies administer those audits, and you'll know I'm looking for their records. So as you become familiar with that area of law, you're going to know a lot more exactly what you need. Then you can go and revisit it. It's not in LexisNexis and Westlaw because I never find it there. Is it somewhere? And it may or may not be. We'll cover Zimmerman's guides because they're a really good place to start. These are hosted by LexisNexis. If I were to scroll up on this page, it would say LexisNexis at the top. However, these are just done by Andrew Zimmerman and hosted by LexisNexis, but not sponsored by it and not a gateway to Lexis products at all. You can see here on the Texas Legal Research Guide that it has a lot of links to government websites, has links to the resource in Westlaw. It will have Westlaw codes just as often as it has Lexis codes for finding a database. And this is a really good place to start because for each area of law, you get maybe just a few paragraphs up to maximum probably about 2 pages that just tells you, okay, these are the sources. And then you know, if I'm looking for something, I can use it like a checklist to go through until I find it, or if I don't find it in any of those, then it may not exist. If there is not a good Zimmerman guide, or even in addition to, just do a quick search to look for more guides. Here it is, search for Texas Legal Research, and I limited it to the .edu domain, mostly because I don't want to get advertisements for Texas attorneys and maybe for companies that do forms and sell form preparation services. I've limited it to the .edu domain, and I see that the University of Texas in Austin has several research guides up that I might be able to check to see for legislative history, where do I go on a government website to pull it for any other question like that.